Hello, everybody, and good morning, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining in with us today. Depending on where you're at, we appreciate you joining us live today. In today's Lean Coffee style webinar, we're going to learn about the top 5 post-pandemic business problems and how to solve them using business agility. So make sure that you guys have your dark roasts ready and sit back and get ready to lean. My name is Mike Bellinger, and I'm here with Icon Agility Services, and I'm going to be your moderator for today's session. If there's any questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to type them into the chat. We're going to do our best to answer as many questions as possible, but depending on how many we get, we may need to table some of those out. But first, let's go ahead and give you a little intro about Icon Agility Services and who we are. So Icon was founded in 1992, and we're currently located in St. Louis, Missouri. Within the last 29 years, through coaching and training, Icon has supported all size companies become more lean, agile organizations. And today we are a top scaled agile SPCT Gold partner, and we are also Scaled Agile's first partner to join in 2012. We currently have a team of 5 SPCTs, including 2 SAFE fellows, and that gives us some of the highest distinction in SAFE. And since Icon began our journey implementing SAFE, we have led over 100 SAFE implementations and trained over 13,000 people. We've got some pretty cool stuff going on here. So you all are in good hands today with the speakers. We have Doug Less and TJ Johnson joining us today. So a little bit about both of these folks. Doug Less, he is an Icon Agility coach and SPCT candidate. He's bringing 20 years of coaching experience to the Icon team. He drives the adoption of Agile values and principles and practices to help people go beyond doing Agile and being Agile. TJ Johnson is an Icon Agility coach and SPC who's launched 23 Agile release trains at healthcare, financial services, and machine learning companies on 5 different continents. And he's also, and I thought this was pretty cool, he consulted with the Dalai Lama. So that's no big deal there or nothing. But there's going to be a link within the chat of this webinar, as well as a reminder email that you got yesterday. So just click on that and you're going to be taken to the Lean Coffee board. And as we get started here, we're going to review the topics that are already posted on the Lean Coffee board. If you'd like to add another topic, you can easily do that by typing the questions into the box that says add a topic. We will then give everybody a chance to vote on their important topics. You're going to have 3 votes to spend, and you can spend your votes however you wish. You can put all of them all in one topic, or you can distribute them out as you see fit. And once we have finished with the voting process, a timer is going to be set for 5 minutes with the most popular topic first. Doug and TJ are going to discuss the topic until they hit that 5-minute mark. And then you're going to be given an opportunity to vote in deciding to continue discussing that topic, or if we're going to move on to the next one. So a thumbs up is going to continue that topic. The thumbs down is going to end the conversation. We're going to move on to the next one then. Or if you're neutral, just go ahead and click on that thumb sideways. And if you have any other topics or questions, or if you need any help, please feel free to use the chat box. And if you are seeing my screen here in Zoom right now, you can see that the topics already are existed. So if anybody is having a problem for some reason accessing the link to the Lean Coffee board, you can put your topic into the chat, and myself or Krista will add that topic in for you. And as a reminder to everybody, this session is going to be recorded, and we're going to make sure that we get this out to you soon. So without further ado, Doug and TJ, I'm going to hand the table on off to you.
Awesome. Hey, listen, Doug, what I'll do is I'll just start top to bottom, left to right, and we'll just alternate in describing the topics.
Sure.
And let me emphasize to our audience, first of all, it's great to see you. Thank you for joining us for this Lean Coffee event. We are delighted that we can share some time. When we think about convincing leadership to transition to Agile or Scaled Agile framework, we think about what are the benefits of speed to market, are the benefits of reducing time to market and cost to market, and increasing quality and increasing employee engagement significant enough for you. So that's what that topic will be pertinent to. Doug?
Sure. And then the next one here is, how do I increase the engagement of my remote employees spread across 4 continents? And even more so here is, how do I increase the engagement of my remote employees now that many companies are 100% remote? So I think we're all facing that issue right now where we have remote employees, remote teams spread all over the place. How do we increase engagement? How do we ensure that those teams are aligned and working towards the common good that we want to? So keeping people engaged is a challenge. So that's really what that's about, is how do I maintain consistent levels of engagement and alignment as we are a distributed workforce?
All right.
And I think our order changed here on the screen.
Order just changed. Okay. Let's do this one. How do I increase the engagement of my remote employees spread across 4 continents? That's pertaining to leaders who have profit and loss accountability across multinationals, or at least multi-regional lines of business or products and services. We really want to know, how do we increase engagement and connectivity across that footprint?
Another one on here is just added here is, where do you start with? They're jumping all over the place. So I'm going to go back to my list here. Is we're starting to get a lot of them added, so it's getting a little bit hard to track here. But how can I improve revenue generation, revive and or create new demand from products or services? Right. So if I mean, right now things are changing rapidly. You were talking post-pandemic. How do I continue to generate revenue from my current products or services? How do I, to me, that's customer centricity. How do I actually engage with my customers, streamline to my most productive products? How do I continue to evolve that? So that's some ideas of things that we might talk about there, is streamlining operations, products, engaging with customers to increase revenue in the products and services that we generate.
Excellent. And where do you start with building an agile practice within your company? What's ground zero for an agile transformation? What are the steps 1 through 3 through 5 through 10? Do you hire a consultant? Do you do a baseline assessment? Those are the questions that you want answered when we talk about that.
This one is added. How do I bring my agile teams back on track if their agile ceremony routines erode over time? So yeah, there's a tendency, I've seen this in a lot of transformations where we've stretched people, the rubber band, we're trying to create new muscle memory, but over time things start to slip back into old habits and old ways of working. So there are many tips and tricks and techniques to actually keep people back on track, keep their ceremonies alive and fresh and powerful, and we can talk about those things in that particular topic.
When do I know my employees have hit a performance plateau and need fresh inspiration? I know for a fact that employees, listen, not just employees, but all of us have experienced some level of disappointment, disaffection, if not trauma, as a result of COVID. So let's talk about it. Let's get our feelings and the impact of it out on the table, so that we can take steps to deal with it in a healthy, transparent way.
Awesome. We also have, how is leading millennials and Generation Z shifting workplace realities? As a father of 2 millennials entering the workforce, very near and dear to me is yes, their motivations are completely different, but in a positive way. I see it as a positive light that this next generation of workers and baby boomers are retiring, and the entire workforce realities are shifting, and the motivations of why people go to work is shifting. So we can cover those things in that particular talk.
Yeah. And what environmental, social, and governance, or ESG goals, can I build into my company's quarterly performance rhythms? As I think everyone on this call is aware.
I think you froze, TJ. Did we lose TJ?
see as yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it's a part of our daily parlance, and it's a crucial part of our accountability, not just to our shareholders and even customers, but the wider ecosystem of employees and partners that our companies impact.
Awesome. And I think the last one here, if I'm counting correctly, if I'm counting on my fingers and toes correctly, is how do I inspire and generate innovation from remote teams? Unleashing innovation with a fully distributed workforce is how do I garner that, since we know innovation really comes from the people working in the trenches, is how do I foster that? How do I make the time and space for innovation to happen? And how do I rally people around it? I've got some transformations that are dealing with that right now, and they're doing some incredibly creative things to, continue that patent generating entrepreneurial spirit within their employees. So I think that's the 10. Did I miss any?
I think we're good. Keep us
So,
honest. Keep us honest, Krista.
so at this point, I think we should let the audience vote on the topics, right? Everyone has 3 votes. And so I suspect with,
Yeah, and let's just listen. We're already 15 minutes in, so let's just take one more minute and get those 3 votes in, so we can pick our first topic and start discussing it.
so everybody has 3 votes.
All right, we're ready. All right, what's our first topic? All right, and let's start. Let's start with 5 minutes. And if the team, if our group here wants to talk more than 5 minutes on it, we can. But let's start with 5 minutes.
How do I increase the engagement of my remote employees spread across 4 continents? I assume this is, go ahead.
I was going to say, listen, if I can launch into this one, Doug, please allow me. And the reason why I say that is because my current client has a footprint across the Philippines, Australia, Bangalore, India, Costa Rica, and 3 time zones in the United States of America.
In there.
And let me tell you, first of all, I acknowledge and feel your pain and literally am living it. Okay, first of all, let's just say that out loud. Okay, next, what we found to be most effective in increasing engagement across geographical and, let's be honest, cultural and time zone boundaries is to have a shared sense of identity. What does that mean? That means we have a mascot. In our case, we call ourselves the Bengal Tigers, and we let our tigers roar every time we start a meeting. We put our tiger emblem on our documents and on ceremony artifacts. So we have identity, a shared identity as Bengal Tigers. So that's one idea. Another idea is we program in a little bit of fun into our iteration. That means our 2-week, and our incremental. That means our 3-month ceremonies. So we wear funny hats. We do a little bit of silly stuff. We have a little bit of fun together in the middle of all the business, just to keep it light for a little bit, be human for a while. Is one recommendation or series of recommendations that we are actually doing and seeing positive results. Doug?
Well, I can do a shameless plug, as since we are SAFE SPCs, SAFE actually has the Scaled Agile Framework has a great workshop for teams, particularly even remote teams. And you create a team canvas. I mean, to me, a lot of things, increasing that engagement involves creating a team working agreement, establishing what that is. What is my cadence? Where are my overlap times when everyone can be together? How do I build that fun in, right? What is the standard things that we do? What is our normal working hours and all these things? Is I create these team norms and I want to capture them. I want to write it down and say, these are the things we're going to hold ourselves to keep the engagement high, to keep that camaraderie high. These are what we're going to hold ourselves to. And then, yeah, the fun aspects as well. And not everything has to be a serious meeting. I have teams that have, virtual happy hours or virtual morning coffees. And it's just a place to try to increase that water cooler talk that once existed when we were just collective, but even when you're already distributed and you have teams spread across the continents, right? A way to actually get together and just talk about life, right? There's no real agenda other than we're not going to talk about work, right? We're going to talk about life and other things, or someone's going to create a fun topic, create a little trivia game. There's all sorts of things that you can do that really the quiver of arrows is endless of the things that you could do to increase engagement. And again, I love what TJ said there about bring the human aspect in, right? All work and no play makes for a very dull existence. So, we definitely want to bring those things in. And I've seen that. So, but there are workshops that you can do to create those canvases as a team, create that identity, create that logo. Yeah, I have teams that they buy stickers and flags and, they put the stickers on their laptops for their teams. And they create that identity, that shared sense of purpose.
Exactly. Yeah, that's good, Doug.
So, and there are tools out there. I mean, there's games you can play like Kahoot quizzes, if you've heard of Kahoot. I mean, I see things that my kids have done because they're doing the remote learning, even at the collegiate level, and college professors and high school teachers, they're actually bringing things into the classroom that create that engagement. And we can use some of those exact same tools that they use to keep their classrooms engaged, to keep our teams engaged, such as the trivia, virtual scavenger hunts. All these things are fun things that you can do as a team to create that identity and be vulnerable. I can't stress enough is people have to be vulnerable.
All right, let's, Krista, if we can open the reaction, from our audience. What do you guys think? What any feedback?
Currently, I don't have anything coming through the chat. Since the time is up on this discussion, we have the opportunity to extend the topic or have no preference on that. So if everybody wanted to go ahead and vote right now, either thumbs up, thumbs down, or thumbs sideways.
Let's end it.
All right. Finishing that one. So it looks like topic number 2 is going to be, when do I know my employees have hit a performance plateau and need fresh inspiration? We'll go ahead and move that over to discussing and start the timer for 5 minutes.
Doug, I'll let you launch in that one if you want.
Sure. For me, a telltale sign is when teams start to just go through the motions and ceremonies. Like because I look at everything from a team concept, I'm part of that. If you ever heard of the term BA, right? We and the team are all one. I start to sense performance plateaus when I see the team start to get complacent with things and things start to become also ran, they become just static and people aren't engaged in the meetings. They start to just go through the motions. I see that, and that's when I recognize they hit a performance plateau and need fresh inspiration. But for me, this is an opportunity when I'm in as a coach, is an opportunity to actually coach upward, right? As I look at the leadership of the organization from this and say, are you challenging your people in the right ways? So I look at this as an opportunity to start the conversation of, are you challenging the people in the right ways? Are you giving them a challenge that they love, right? Are you doing that thing? Are you creating that challenge? Are you continuing to hammer them with like, do, dates, right? Are you giving them fresh inspiration? Have you given them work that, are you giving them work currently that makes them complacent, right? You're not giving them new challenges. You're not giving them new opportunities. You're not fostering those things. Or as a leader, are you risk takers? Are you willing to let the team fail, right? Are you willing to embrace that concept of, I might give them something hard and they might not succeed, but it's going to give them an opportunity to really stretch their scientific decision-making and scientific problem-solving skills that are diminishing, that we learned when we were in elementary school, right? All this scientific discovery and problem solving. Am I giving them the opportunities to do that? Or are you too process-driven as an organization? And I look for those opportunities to say, is the fresh inspiration a result of the environment that you've put them in, or are they truly, is it a personal thing? And being able to recognize those two differences. Sometimes a complete shift in focus is needed. New routines are needed. Sometimes people need that. So it's recognizing those things. So anything to add, TJ?
Absolutely. I just want to, I want to list out a direct answer to that question. Then I'll anecdote. How do you know there's a plateau? First of all, what is the quality and quantity of fresh ideas that you are hearing from your teams on an iteration basis? Number two, what are the challenges to the status quo, to leadership, and even maybe middle management assumptions and presumptions that you are receiving? If you are not receiving challenges to status quo, it means that your teams are not thinking outside the parameters that they're currently in, and that's a warning sign. That's a warning sign. Third, what is the level of emotional enthusiasm and connectivity you feel from your teams as they execute the work? Is there buy-in? Is there intellectual and emotional buy-in? If there is not, warning sign, warning sign. Now, I have a client that, over the last probably 18 months that really experienced some attrition. And the plateau warning signs were ignored and the attrition happened. So please pay attention to your employees. Pay attention to the teams doing the execution.
One of my favorite questions to ask the team, or even ask the team's leaders, is, are you playing it safe? Right? Is this just a safe play, or is this a bold and daring play? Right? I ask that a lot. I mean, I'll ask a team, are you just playing it safe this iteration? Are you just playing it safe this go around? Or are you doing anything bold and daring? And I will ask that question. And I will ask teams to put something on their backlogs that are bold and daring. Make sure that part of their capacity is doing something bold and daring. Yeah. Anything to add? I mean, that's my synthesis, right? It's what TJ said too, is right. I think are you challenging them, right? Is the environment challenging? Look for those telltale signs of people being complacent, right? People just doing the status quo, just going through the motions, and ask, is it a function of process? Are they just playing it safe because time's up, but are they just playing it safe because there's a command and control structure in place and they're afraid? Or is management giving them the time and space to be bold and creative?
Great points, Doug. Do we want to extend this topic or end this topic? Please vote now.
I like it. You guys are some lean coffeeers. You guys are like topic. Let's go. Let's move. Come on.
Looks like we're going to move on to the next one. So this one is, how do I inspire and generate innovation from remote teams? Unleashing innovation with a fully distributed workforce has become increasingly challenging.
So I'll launch into this, and the short direct answer is elicitation and continuous exploration, which are obviously a big part of the continuous delivery pipeline in Scaled Agile framework. So if you kind of think about the big picture, continuous exploration is the first piece of that whole continuous journey. Elicitation specifically means we are going to engage, re-engage, and methodically capture feedback from customers, from clients, from partners, and from consumers of what it is that we generate. We're going to capture that as either a funnel item, as an epic or a feature, and we're going to methodically work through what our customers think about the products and services that we bring to market. Number two, so that's the Scaled Agile framework piece. Another piece is create space for innovation. In other words, when is your hackathon? When is your when is your 2-day or 1-day everyone get together in a hackathon kind of marathon meeting, 6-hour, 8-hour meeting during your innovation and planning iteration, at the end of the 10-week increment for your program increment execution. When are you getting everyone in the room for quote, I'm putting room in quotes, right, for 6 to 8 hours, and allowing them to grab a real business problem and just hack it. Break them up into teams, make it a fun competition. The winning team with the best idea gets an ice cream party or gets donuts, or if it's obviously if it's really geographically distributed, then maybe gets gift certificates. But create opportunities for people to get together, challenge them collectively with some incentive, give them a compressed time frame, and watch the magic happen.
I'd tactically add, I should always be listening for and collecting innovation ideas. So I encourage people to have an innovation backlog, right? Someplace where I'm capturing these innovation ideas, whether that's, to me, even innovation is innovating on the product, the process, or the people, right? I'm either growing my people, I'm improving my process, or improving my product. So I'll have an innovation backlog that actually has ideas that come out, such as eliminating a massive, doing some massive refactoring for an area of my product that is notoriously sketchy. So innovations capture things like, boy, we always seem to struggle with these code freezes. Is there anything I can do to make those better, right? To eliminate those, and look for opportunities, and I capture them as concrete backlog items, so that when I do create that time and space, whether that's a 2-day hackathon, or that's I'm setting a day aside every iteration, or a half a day aside every iteration, to give the time and space for the teams to innovate, I can do that. I also think it's inspiring from a hackathon perspective is don't just, go to the teams and say, well, what do you think we should do and work on? That is an awesome source of it. But I like the challenge too is, I've been in design thinking and customer centristic things would say, hey, here's a problem. Here's a problem. We might want to move our product into another market, and here's the market we're considering. What kind of things do you think we would have to do to our product to entertain that other market and turn the people loose and come up with ideas? Maybe we haven't ever served the education market with our products. Is there something we could do to make this enticing to colleges, to universities, to K through 12s, anything like that to innovate? And the incentive doesn't have to be anything tremendously monetarily either. I have a great story. I actually went as an RTE early on. I went to a trophy store, and I bought their also-rans, all these old trophies. I think I paid $20 for a box of 100 trophies, miscellaneous. They've got tennis players and bowlers and baseball players and all sorts of things, and Eagles wings, and they're all just random trophies. but people got such a kick out of being the innovation winner from the hackathon about these trophies that were like literally pennies, but it's something that they could rally around. And it's still to this day, the RTE on that train, I'm gone, but the RTE on that train continues to go to this place and buy their, old trophies. And it's something that has become this, badge of honor. And monetarily, it's nothing.
That's
Like,
really
yeah,
good, Doug. I like that.
Yeah, I love that idea. I wouldn't mind getting like an old tennis trophy. Time's up on this one. So if you'd like to extend the topic and hear more, if you have no preference, go to the side, or if you'd like to end the topic, do a thumbs down. All right, looks like we're going to go ahead and finish this topic up.
This is exciting.
Yeah, man, we're covering a lot of ground. I love it.
You really are. So this is a great question. How do you convince leadership to transition to agile and safe?
That's an excellent one, right? I wish everybody could watch the 3-minute pitch for Scaled Agile, for one, that Dean Leffingwell gave. But really, it's going to be, it depends, but everyone is going to have a tipping point. There's got to be some burning platform that they have for which Agile and Safe is a clear, hands down winner to eliminate things. Like if you're having time to market issues, if you're having quality issues, if I'm having issues with alignment, or I'm struggling to get things out the door with any kind of consistency and cadence and delivery, there's going to be all sorts of things that are going to be a tipping point. But it's harnessing those tipping points and taking a step back and saying, how could I solve these? Is Agile and Safe the right way, right? And can we organizationally handle some of the change and the mental change? Really, most of the Agile is mostly a mental change. It's a change in how we perceive work. It's that moving from project thinking to product thinking. It's aiming small, missing small. Can I get to a point where I can do smaller batches? I don't have to boil the ocean. So, convincing leadership, to me, it's going to be really, what is the burning platform? And that's going to be different for every company. But what I find is, while our problems are often unique, many of the solutions to those problems are common, right? Some of the same solutions that have worked for other companies, even in different industries, can work for you. But it's a matter of recognizing what that burning platform is and saying, what are the baby steps we can take toward that? Right? We can't just flip a switch and go there, but what are the things? Can I dedicate 2 days to examining, Safe, examining these things and really digging in, taking 2 days to dig in? TJ, what would you suggest?
Yeah, I would make 5 very specific points. And the reason why I know these points cold is because I've been put in the room with the CEO and president of a $4.4 billion company and asked to make the case for Scaled Agile framework. And let me tell you, when you're sitting across the room from someone who has that much accountability, you have to be able to crystallize it and be pointed. So the first point I would make is, speak the language your executives speak. Talk to them in terms of the long-term value that you're going to increase and impact with the Agile delivery that you enhance and improve. Talk to them about revenue impacts from having customer feedback cycles directly increased and improved in what products and services we are currently bringing to market and or are adding to market. And then I'd say, be sure to remove the lingo, the Agile lingo, and replace the Agile lingo with language that the executives and leaders are accountable for in delivering both to shareholders and to their executive boards and their executive teams. So in other words, instead of saying, hey, listen, we're going to launch some Agile release trains and that's going to increase your code quality, phrase it like, hey, listen, if you want to enhance and increase your product footprint in this particular market segment, we can do that when we capture feedback from customers and consumers in a 10-week cycle, and ever improve the products and services in a 10-week cycle, instead of waiting for big bang releases, every 9 to 18 months. That crisp, precise language with that kind of revenue impact gets their attention every time. All right. The final thing I would say is be pragmatic and listen. Executives have so much on their plate. They're not just thinking about the revenue or revenue impact or cost basis for the products and services. They're also thinking about reputational harm. So, phrase the agile and skilled agile conversation in terms of how skilled agile has a history of actually enhancing reputational reputational impacts in the marketplace, because consumers and employees are higher or more likely to be engaged and satisfied, and we have the numbers to prove it. So I would give those 5 points specifically, and listen, it's worked without fail.
Understanding the triage, right? Where are they bleeding? Where are they hurting? And in their context is king, right? Context is king. Speaking their language.
So we do have time up on this discussion, but we did have an additional question come in on this. How do you handle when agile coaches and mentors are resistant to SAFe?
I would say create a space for the resistant to air their grievances, and ask them to be specific about those grievances, so that when you are, listening to them and prepared to react to them, you are actually reacting to, frankly, the root cause of that resistance. Usually there's an unmet expectation, and it has frankly nothing to do with agile or scaled agile. There's an unmet expectation with regard to planning or execution, or an approach. So listen, and be prepared to address the root cause.
Yeah, I find oftentimes is that they truly don't understand, right? It's almost just a flippant, a flippant resistance without truly understanding that, it's not, SAFe is just one framework, and it's actually a framework that has a very specific goal of being an operating system to bridge and bring back kind of that network of entrepreneurial spirit within an organization, that has gone away when we actually get to hierarchies and structure and silos. And there's nothing super secret about SAFe or super anti-agile. In fact, it's quite based in agile. You can be agile without SAFe, but you can't be SAFe without first being agile. That's been said time and time again. So exactly, understanding what that resistance is, that is spot on, TJ.
Okay, great. So we have 3 votes in the topic and 4 as a no preference. Do either of you have a preference yourselves?
Let's keep it moving. This crowd wants it, typically likes to keep it moving. So let's do it.
All right, on to the next. Where do you start with building an agile practice within your company?
Yeah, I mean, that's just, Doug mentioned the team canvas. I mean, that's just, that you can, there's a bunch of really cool toolkits that Skilled Agile Framework gives. So if you're starting the conversation at the executive layer, there's an executive introduction to Skilled Agile Framework. If you're starting the conversation kind of middle management, there's an Agile release train canvas that can be done. If you are kind of starting at the team layer, the team level, there's emergent kind of conversations that you can have, along with doing baseline assessments that demonstrate what is present, and then what are gaps with regard to team and technical agility and agile product delivery, organizational agility. I could go on. There's all kinds of great assessments that you can kind of roll softly into the organization and say, hey, listen, maybe we could improve how we are delivering agilely. And we can improve how our team and technical agility is maturing. So that's kind of the soft role. If you want to do it at the team layer or even maybe the middle management layer, there's obviously other tools for the executive layer.
Yeah, and again, I'm a big fan of, where is the, usually there's a temperature or a place where it's percolating, right? Where agile practices are starting to become talked about or discussed. And I want to create that coalition of people. So if I've got some excitement around it, some ideas around it, and I might have a potential area that might be super suitable to it, I want to create that powerful coalition of change. And I want to create them as a community. And I want to leverage their passion to actually start that agile practice. I'm going to give them some of the keys, right? I'm going to make them, bequeath them with the title of, you are now an agile change agent. We're a part of this community of change agents that need to now look to see how we can actually implement it here. What is the ideal candidate? Where do I start, right? And all it takes is starting with one, right? Just starting with one. You can roll small. You don't have to rip off the Band-Aid and do a complete out-of-the-box transformation. You can start, more greenfield, ground up, grassroots, is build that up. But I want to find the people that are passionate about it. And I know that we have a question later about millennials. Most of the people that I have met that are coming out of the collegiate space now into the workforce, Agile is being taught in the universities. And if they walk into an environment and they don't see it, they expect it, right? So you start to see this groundswell of people wanting to do this work and knowing that there's a better way to do things and get rapid feedback. And that's where we start, is build that powerful coalition of people and, turn them loose.
That's good, Doug. I like that.
So, and where to start? I look for opportunities where, it has the opportunity where I have a closer connection to my customer or end user, right? Where there is a closer connection and I can bridge that gap. If I have that opportunity, if I look for opportunities that are ripe for Agile, I want to see what is the distance between the developer and the end user. If I have places where that gap is short and small and I can actually capitalize on it, those are great opportunities to start, because now I can create that feedback loop. But if the distance is like a classic horseshoe, right, where the developer is at the lower rung of this big long horseshoe and it goes all the way up to product, and product goes to sales, and sales goes to marketing, and somewhere in there is the customer, that's going to be hard, because who's giving the feedback? Who's going to be benefiting from these short interim release? Who can be present with the team to actually give that feedback and exercise those practices and mindset about, turning things over on a frequent basis to my customer, having the conversation with them to actually drive out what it is we need to build, eliminating words from a vocabulary like requirements. Instead of talking about requirements, talk about with the customer what they want built, right? It's not a requirement of the system. It's what the customer desires and wants, going to the customer centricity, right? Aiming for what they want and having the conversation with them. They're not going to describe it in terms of the system must and the system shall requirements. They're going to say, hey, I need to complete the ability to add a book to my cart online. They're going to talk in those kinds of things. I need the ability to buy stuff online, right? That's what they're going to be talking about, and engaging them with that conversation. So I look for those kind of opportunistic things, is find that coalition of people that are passionate and find the opportunity where I'm close to customer, are a great place to start.
Yeah, and there's a question in the chat about the best team or the best assessments. What's really cool about Scaled Agile Framework is right out of the box, you can use the team and technical agility, agile product delivery, organizational agility, lean agile leadership. I could go on. There are literally 8 different assessments you can use straight out of the box from SAFe. Don't have to invent them, just use them and it come with graphics that generate graphics. So I would just recommend starting with SAFe. They're really thorough.
Yeah. And SAFe is even good about incorporating other assessments as well. There's some other industry assessments that they've actually incorporated in, and they're fully adaptable and compatible with other agility assessments as well.
Okay, great. I do want to make sure everyone is aware of the time. It's 12:48 right now, so I'll go ahead and finish this topic. And we can move on to the next, or we could do a brief Q&A. It would be up to Doug and TJ. What would you like to do?
Let's hear from the audience. I actually hear a voice from the audience. We've been talking for 40 minutes now. You guys got to talk too, okay?
Let me make sure they're all allowed to talk.
Anything clicked? Anything resonated?
Well, I have a question, if I may.
Sure.
This is Geert van Doren from Belgium. In the Agile teachings that I received, it was always promoted to have co-located teams. And we already had the topic a bit today in this Lean Coffee. But with the current reality, a lot of our co-located teams went virtual. And also after the pandemic, home office will probably be more promoted than co-located. How do you resolve that lack of co-location? How do you compensate that with how do you
Sure. So obviously the tools have come a long way, right? Tools like Zoom that we're on now have come a long way. But you actually, they struggle still to create that teaming and community. So I'm working with some Agile release trains right now with a company that part of their working agreements includes mandatory together time. So they are actually pairing. They're kind of doing swarming and pairing. So as a team, they will collectively work on a user story or on a bug or a defect, whatever it is, they'll collectively work on it. And they're all online together working. So in a sense, they are co-located. So they have 2 hours a day, every day, where they all get on a Zoom call and they're all together, mandatory cameras on, and they're seeing each other and they're collectively working on a problem. They're not just working on their own thing and happen to be on camera. They're collectively solving a problem. They're swarming on issues. And that helps create some of that co-location. And it helps to build through those stages that we go through as a team, where they're forming, storming, norming, performing. That helps them go through that because now they start to learn how each other operates. They navigate, they drive, they navigate, and they work through the problems.
Absolutely, Doug. Let me I want to put an asterisk right there. We do exactly the same thing in our coaching practice. And my friend from Belgium, use Miro, M-I-R-O, Miro.com and or Mural, M-U-R-A-L. And that's a tool or a tool like that gets geographically disparate people all in quote unquote the same virtual room at the same time. So everyone is looking and collaborating and whiteboarding, updating, voting, looking at the same thing at the same time, so that, as Doug described, these 2 hours every day in this window, we are working together. If it's virtual, yes, but we're looking at the same thing together, collaborating on it together, and have the same work products as a result of it.
Yeah.
okay.
And I have friends at a major cloud company. I better not say their name, but major cloud company where, and you can probably look this up online, but their CTO has mandated that nobody works on something alone. They must pair. They must do pair programming, pair work, a developer and a tester pairing together, or a designer and a developer pairing together, but they must do pair work. It's mandatory. Nobody can work on something by themselves. And that helps create that sense of effort. And this company has gone so far as they've given people budgets to buy things like professional microphones, and professional headsets to actually make it like you're there with them. And they dedicate a monitor to the other person's face, right? So I see who I'm working with constantly. And we work together on, another monitor is dedicated to a shared workspace, like a co-located machine. They're working on a virtual machine together, right? And so they can diverge and converge, but they're together the whole time. And technology has allowed us to bridge that gap. 10 years ago, I would have said there's just no way. But today, there's ways for us to do that. Miro, even most of the development tool frameworks that are out there now support it. Azure supports it. All these things. Google Cloud Platform supports the ability to do this pairing and things like that. So, and as things move more and more to the cloud, our ability to work on the same code at the same time is even increased. So we can create that spirit of co-location. Having a team room, like a dedicated, like whether you're in SharePoint or Confluence or a team wiki page where I can post common things like our shared personas or shared standards or shared definition of done, also creates a sense of co-location. So hopefully we've addressed that question, but if you have any follow-up, please ask.
Thank you for your answer.
Yeah, I doubt, there's many places now that, they're going to struggle to get everybody to come back to an office in the post-pandemic. We're talking post-pandemic. I even just talking to an HR person last week whose head of accounting says, if you think I'm going to give up my yoga pants to come back to the office, you're fooling yourself. I'll find some place where I can be the head of accounting remotely. So, it's a real reality that we're dealing with, that the next environment is going to be a hybrid environment. Even if offices open back up.
And actually they've proven, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
They've proven that if you have a group of individuals who are truly working from home and they have like an environment where they can shut off, and be in like an office, that they're actually more productive as long as all of them are in that home environment.
Yeah. So, and it'll be interesting to see when we have a hybrid environment, some in and some off. I imagine we'll probably end up with, we'll see an optimal thing where people that are co-located make an optimal team and people that are 100% distributed make an equally opportune team. But I think the hybrid might be a struggle, where some people are co-located face-to-face and some people are still remote. I think we'll probably see it's going to be better to have all my remote people on a team and all my co-located people on a team.
I would agree, because you use the same tools in that case, right? When you're co-located, you don't need a lot of these remote tools. So if you're struggling with something not working or whatever, if your team members are all co-located, well, none of them can really help you.
Right.
But if they're all distributed, they all have ideas of, well, we'll try this or try that.
So I think we're going to see some new articles coming out and some new research coming out on, constructing teams and, optimal team construction to deal with matrixed hybrid environments. What other questions are out there? We're almost at time, but this is exciting.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation.
Oh, sorry, TJ. We are almost at time. We did have a question come through the chat from Dawn. Several of us have started a COI, community of interest, within my firm. However, many of us are new to Agile. Not sure where to go from here. We meet bi-weekly and do Agile coffee stand-ups, trying to be as effective as possible. Do you suggest we enlist help from a third-party Agile coach outside of the firm to help us deepen our knowledge? COI equals COP.
Yeah, community of interest, community of practice, very similar concepts. It could help. I like the idea of doing the lean coffee and see what people are passionate about. And, if there are topics that come up repeatedly, you might see an indication where I might need to come in with somebody that has some keys, because out there looking at Google, but maybe if things repeatedly come up from that community of practice, and you start to see some themes forming about, oh, we're going to need some heavy lifting. Yeah, those are ripe opportunities to bring in coaching and consulting.
Hey, Dawn, I would add to that, community of interest, as in interest in maturing as Agilist, interest in deepening knowledge of existing roles and responsibilities within your firm as Agilist. A COI can go in a lot of different directions. So interest in what? Because if it's a maturity step and or maturity steps and stages that you're looking for, obviously a coach is a great way to accelerate maturity. If it's interest in the roles of Agilists in your specific firm and your specific context, then that's something that can actually probably be handled better internally, because you all know your internal landscape a lot better than an external coach would.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody who joined in with us today, and thank you Doug and TJ. We're here at time. So these were all great insights. I really appreciate it. And for everybody that joined with us today, if you guys are interested in how Icon can help your business adopt the agile practices that were discussed today in today's Lean Coffee, please feel free to contact us at info@iconagility.com. And from myself and behalf of everybody here at the Icon office, we wish you guys to continue to stay busy and safe, and let us know if we can do anything. And thank you so much.
Thank you all for engaging.
Take care, y'all.
Thank you all.